Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Beauty Authority. I'm Tatiana Bido, NewBeauty's Director of Aesthetic Content. And we know weight loss medications have changed the conversation around obesity today, but a new name is taking over social media, and it's Retatrutide or Retta. I know on TikTok they call it Ratatouille or Ratatouille just to get around the TikTok algorithm. But it's very interesting because even though it's not FDA approved right now, people are already using compounded or DIY versions. So today we're talking with board certified endocrinologist Dr. Rekha Kumar of Found about what Retatrutide actually is and why it's generating so much buzz. Hi, Dr. Kumar. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me.
So can we talk a little bit about what Retatrutide actually is? I know we know Ozempic and we know Wegovy and Zepbound, but how is this drug different and where is it right now in its stages of coming out to the public?
Sure. So Retatrutide, Ratatouille, whatever you want to call it, is the next generation of GLP-1s. So I would say that like the first really famous one that people knew about was Ozempic or semaglutide, which is also Wegovy. Many people don't realize that there were generations before that we have been prescribing for 20 years. But Retta is what's coming next. It is in the GLP-1 family. It's an investigational drug for obesity, meaning that it's not yet FDA approved. And it targets different hormones than Ozempic or semaglutide or tirzepatide, known as Mounjaro and Zepbound. So what's unique about Retta is that it acts on three hormone pathways: GLP, GIP, and glucagon. So three weight and blood sugar regulating hormones are targeted by this new and very powerful medication.
And the way I started seeing it really come out into the public is through bodybuilders or people in the gym. So one of the things it's gotten a lot of press for or it's been known for is that it helps to help maintain your muscle mass, right?
I mean, that's not really
Yeah, tell me
what
what it
it,
really is though, because that's kind
yeah,
of
that's
the
not like really what
messaging.
it's supposed to be known for.
Yeah.
It, the reason it's remarkable is that thus far in clinical trials, and we have gotten recently through the phase 3 published clinical trial, which at that stage, we're looking at safety and efficacy over broader conditions, meaning like, can we apply this to the population? And that was really, just presented about a month ago. And we don't expect to see FDA approval for at least another year. So this has to be submitted to the FDA
Wow.
and reviewed. What do I think bodybuilders are doing with it? So bodybuilders are very brave and I respect them for this, but they tend to experiment, not necessarily for the conditions or at the doses that medicines are typically used for. So bodybuilders are using very small doses of Retta to get super lean or shredded or whatever you want to call it. I mean, they're doing all of the other things to maintain their lean muscle. So if you look at the actual clinical trials, like the highest dose of Retta is 12 milligrams. That is the dose that showed like the bariatric surgery level weight loss. Bodybuilders are using like 1 milligram, 2 milligrams. So they're basically microdosing Retta to get super lean. And it is working for them. But again, it's not FDA approved and we don't always know like where the Retta they're getting is from in regards to quality control. But this is not a muscle building drug.
Right.
Right? Like we might see that in the future. But right now, when we talk about Sema, Terzi, and Retta, you lose fat mass on all, but you will also lose some lean mass because mostly these meds are they're working in many ways, but they're putting you in a calorie deficit. And
Right.
there is no way yet to be in a calorie deficit and build muscle. There are drugs in investigation that might do that in the future, but we're not there right now.
Right. So it's just so interesting because the whole peptide, category is exploding right now. So one of the concerns that experts have is that it's not FDA approved. So what are the risks that people are assuming if you are experimenting with these drugs when they're not approved yet?
I mean, the biggest issue when things aren't FDA approved is we can't make claims on safety or efficacy. So we can't use those words like because we don't have the evidence that these are safe or effective by traditional standards, meaning the review process that we usually use to say things are safe and effective. Are there other ways to show that things are safe and effective by like tons of bodybuilders experimenting on it? Possibly, but that's not the standard we use in the United States to get a drug approved. So I'd say that the concerns are lack of data on safety and efficacy in broad populations and quality control. So where is this coming from if it's not coming from Eli Lilly, the company that has developed it?
How are people getting it?
Yeah, so they're getting it from the gray market, which could be a guy in his basement, like getting the active pharmaceutical ingredient overseas, bringing it over. And I don't want to like make it sound like anything overseas or from China is not of good quality, because that's not true either. Like some of this Retta could be coming from the same place as like our real tirzepatide and semaglutide, but they're not going through the oversight points of manufacturing that the other ones are. So we don't know about purity, sterility, potency in the batches that people are taking. So it could be contaminated. It could have bacteria in it. It could just not be what it says it is.
There's also a lot of bad actors out there. So you could just be getting no Retatrutide in your vial. So it's hard to know unless it's being regulated, like you said.
Totally. And regulated, there's different levels of regulation. Does like everything we take have to be FDA approved? A lot of us take vitamins. None of them are FDA approved. And there can be some level of oversight and quality control. It's just different. So, for example, compounding pharmacies. A lot of people get medicines from compounding pharmacies, and they are under their own state board regulations. They do good tests, but we have to make sure we're using a good compounding pharmacy that gets their ingredients from FDA green-lighted facilities.
So just be careful with what you're getting, right? And my big joke is if you're getting it from Jerry from the gym, you don't know what's in it.
Jerry from the gym, Nancy from the nail salon.
Or just these websites, right? Where you'll see someone's story on social media. It might not even be a real person. It could be an AI person telling you how great the results are and go to my pharmacy. So it's just very muddled right now and very confusing. And I feel like this is just my observation, but I feel like a lot of people are quick to adopt new things. And this is one thing that I think you should be careful with what you're injecting.
Super cautious. If you have to buy it off TikTok and you can't get it from your doctor, I would second guess it.
Yeah, absolutely. And is there any other misinformation that you're seeing out there in regards to Retatrutide or peptides in general that, people should really look out for?
I mean, I'm very interested in longevity peptides and the science behind them. But what I would say to people who are consuming a lot of this information on social media is that peptides aren't what people think they are. They aren't this big game changer to your health, wellness, or beauty. They are literally the icing on the cake. So if you're putting peptides into a system that is not optimized already, the body's not going to pick up the signal. So basically, you need like all the foundational behaviors in place: nutrition, sleep, stress. If you have any actual medical conditions, cholesterol issues, blood sugar, blood pressure, those should all be treated. So peptides are really like an optimizer's game. So this idea that like you're going to take GHKCU and become like beautiful and have glowing skin, like what else are you doing? Like, are you only injecting yourself with this and you think you're going to transform? No. Like, are you wearing sunscreen? Like, are you using all of the other things that us women should be doing and men too?
And even with peptides, if you're not nutritionally, if you're not eating well, if you're not, incorporating more protein in your diet, you can get really lean, but you can also look very unhealthy. And it's kind of like, what's more important at the end of the day, right?
Yes. And there's a famous academic nutrition professor that said something to me with the way people are using some of these peptides and weight loss drugs is that are you renting weight loss and not buying long-term health? And I thought that
Wow.
that was like really powerful because there are people that are thinking in the short term, like if I drop these 10 pounds, if I drop these 20, 30 pounds and like fit into my clothes, but if they're not optimizing the quality of their diets, their muscle health, are they actually buying long-term health? No.
I've also heard, the rhetoric that if you're turning something on, that the peptides can pick and choose what cells they're enhancing or optimizing. So if you're turning something on, could you be turning on, maybe, amplifying your risk of cancer developing or something like that? Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, so there is truth to that. And I think that for certain peptides in particular, such as BPC 157, which is like the tissue repair peptide and some of the growth hormone ones, yes, these are relatively benign substances and short acting and don't last very long in your body. But if you're not up to date with your cancer screening, if you're, you know, a woman over 40 that hasn't had a mammogram or a person over 45 that hasn't had a colonoscopy, or if you have a strong family history of cancer, I would be very cautious with these because you're
Yeah,
right. They might not be super specific. And if certain peptides are known to stimulate tissue growth or like blood vessel formation, we don't want to feed the growth of cancers or tumors.
right. Well, looking ahead, what do you think's going to happen and how should we navigate this wellness, longevity, everything's, happening at the same time. How do we navigate what we're seeing online, what we're hearing in media and what we should actually be doing for ourselves?
So I think the future is super exciting with peptides, longevity medicine, metabolic care, but none of this replaces the foundational behaviors. And so, although that people are excited and consuming all this information online and feel like they want to try something new, I do think these meds are promising, but I'd say my advice is to stay curious, consume the science, and work with a good doctor that you trust because nothing that is like so safe and proven and amazing is going to be a secret. Like if this pans out to truly be important for our health, it's not going to be behind a paywall. It's not going to be in a DM. Like your doctor's going to want to give this to you if it's good for you.
Yes, absolutely. And for anyone who wants to find you, no pun intended, on Found, what will they see when they visit the site?
Yeah. So I know that this is like very modern and sophisticated medicine. And so if people's doctors aren't there yet with this, companies like Found Health, where I'm the senior medical advisor, are very cutting edge, not only with clinically rigorous protocols in terms of metabolic health, peptide science. We basically would do a medical intake to see what's safe for somebody, to see if a GLP-1 or a non-GLP-1 may be appropriate for someone's metabolic health. We have health coaches. All our care is delivered through an app. You can access doctors, AI coaches, live coaches, and tons of content on nutritional needs, exercise, sleep, stress. So I would say that it's like a comprehensive metabolic health platform, and
Yeah.
our clinicians are very well trained in the most cutting edge peptides and metabolic medicine if somebody feels like they're not getting the care they need elsewhere.
Yeah. Instead of going to Jerry at the gym, right?
Totally.
Yes.
I would say that Found is an amazing alternative to Jerry at the gym
Yes.
and Nancy at the nail salon.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining New Beauty today. And I really appreciate all of your insights.
Thank you.
Thank you.